Hello. In this introduction activity, you're going to learn about Arctic sea ice and what is happening to it. So this student response sheet is stored in your class notebook. If you need to learn how to access your class notebook, you can watch the video that's posted here, or you can just follow this pathway if you know how to do it. The document that you'll be working on is one that you'll have to annotate. If you need help annotating that document, you can watch this video here and it'll teach you how to annotate or give you some suggestions on that.
And that page is going to look like this. So if you can't see this, open up to page 523 in your interactive HMH book. And we're going to go ahead and read this real quick, and then you're going to respond to it. And then you're going to watch a movie about Arctic sea ice, and you're going to record this information down here. So let's get on to the reading. So this is page 523. Yep, page 523 in your HMH book. So I'm going to quickly read this, and then you can respond to this down here. Over the past 3 decades, scientists have noticed that the total area covered by Arctic ice has been steadily shrinking. In September 1984, the ice covered 6.206 million square kilometers. But in September 2016, it covered only 4.14 million square kilometers. You can see that here. Here's 1984, and here's 2016. In addition, the portion of ice that is more than a year old has decreased. In the 1980s, it was about 45% of the ice was permanent. In 2016, only 20% of the ice was permanent, which means that only 20% of the ice remains there all the time. In here, 45% of the ice remained here all of the time. This is a sign that the ice is not just covering a smaller area, but it is also becoming thinner. Predict: how could melting ice, sea ice, affect the coastline and beaches of California? So go ahead and predict that, and then go ahead and watch the video and answer the questions that are right here. Let's start the video now.
On September 18th, satellites observed that Arctic sea ice had reached its annual low. This year's sea ice minimum is effectively tied for the second lowest on record. And while sea ice grows and shrinks with the seasons, 2019 continues the downward trend of the extent.
The trends that we've been seeing with the sea ice minimum have just been a decrease. So in the 70s, since the modern record began tracking, to today, there's variation from year to year, but it's really...
So you're supposed to record some variation right here. So let's look at that picture. So this is the picture that's in the video, and we're looking at variation. Variation just means changes. So we have variation right here, where we have a high point here, and then we have a low point here. So that's variation, where you have a different thing. So again, we have high point here, we have a low point there. That's variation. So just show that variation, which just means differences in the data. It is not one set straight line. It varies. It goes up and goes down. Let's go ahead and return to the video.
Really just a downward trend.
Satellite observations show that Arctic sea ice is not only shrinking in extent, it is also becoming younger and thinner. That means less and less ice survives the annual melt.
The Arctic has actually warmed a lot more than the globe as a whole. There's something called Arctic amplification, which means that the temperatures in the Arctic have warmed about 2 to 3 times the global average.
A major cause of this warming is due to the loss of reflectivity, or albedo, of the sea ice. Snow-covered sea ice has a high albedo. This keeps the sun's energy from being absorbed by a dark ocean. But when sea ice begins to melt, it loses some of that reflectivity. And without the sea ice cover, the ocean will absorb most of the sun's energy. This creates a feedback loop that leads to more melting and warming in the Arctic.
We care about sea ice for a variety of reasons. One being because it does have an impact on things like our weather and our climate. Because of the albedo effect, if you decrease the amount of Arctic sea ice, you start warming up the Arctic. And when you start warming up the Arctic, you can start changing the circulation of the jet stream, which brings weather to us here in the mid-latitudes. The other reasons why we care about sea ice, Arctic sea ice in particular, is because we've seen such big changes due to warming, melting ice. It's a good visual to show that yes, the climate is changing and it's because of warming.
NASA continues to monitor these changes to the Arctic so that we may get a better understanding of what we can expect in the future.
Right, now that you've finished this document, you can go ahead and share it with me for grading. So you go up to your share button here and you click on that. You go ahead and you copy the link here, copy. Then you go back to and you click the submit button. And you are going to choose the website URL. And you just paste your URL right there and you submit. And that is it. If you have any questions, please contact me, your science teacher.